Okay, everyone, can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, so we'll make a start. So good afternoon, everyone, and you are very welcome to our postgraduate webinar for the Masters in Strategic Leadership for Agri-Food and CAFRE, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm Dr. Victoria Murphy, and I'm the course director for our postgraduate courses here. So before we begin, I would just like to make you all aware that we are recording today's webinar, which will be available on the CAFRE website for you to view again at any time or to share with your friends or colleagues. So the purpose of our event today is to give you the opportunity to come along and get a better insight into our postgraduate programs and hear about what we have to offer. We have a presentation from two members of our teaching team, Dr. Holly Mullen and David Wilson, who will talk you through the programme, what the structure is, the modules, the modes of study, and what the requirements are. We're also delighted to be joined by Daniel Saloon, who is a past student of ours and kindly agreed to join us today and share some real life experiences from a student's perspective and how the programme has helped him and his career. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the chat function. We have also set some time aside at the end to answer any questions that you may have. I know some of you will be joining us during your lunch break, and we hope to finish about 1:30. If you need to leave before then, please feel free to submit a question into the chat and we'll make sure it's answered at the end, and you can review the recording afterwards on our website. Or if you would prefer to discuss anything in more detail, please feel free to send me an email and we can arrange a time to have a chat. Before I hand over to Holly and David, I just want to make you aware that our programme has been recently revised and renamed to MSc in Strategic Leadership for Agri-Food. If you decide to apply, applications are made through the Queen's University Belfast application portal, and currently you will see the programme listed under its previous title while the systems are currently being updated, but we can guide you through the application process if you have any questions. I'll also put the course link into the chat during the webinar so you know which course to apply for whilst everything's being updated. So hopefully that doesn't cause too much confusion, but again, just reach out to me if you're unsure. So I hope you enjoy the session and find it useful, and I'll now pass over to Holly and David, who I'll allow to introduce themselves before Holly begins the presentation.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Delighted to be here with you this afternoon. My name is Holly Mullen, and I'm one of the lecturers on the programme. And it's great to have been involved with the programme for a number of years now, and it's great to sort of be launching our sort of refreshed name and new module titles and things like that. So hopefully you get something out of today, and we're sort of able to sort of guide you in terms of what you can expect if you do decide to join us in September or within another sort of intake year if you are considering it in the near future. So if we just move to the first slide, there's just a few ideas there in terms of, well, if you're sitting there asking yourself, why would I undertake a master's degree? And again, we see a very, very varied cohort come through to us every year, and people aren't always just following directly on from their primary degree. They might have been out of education for a number of years. So these are just some of the reasons that we see people joining us. So first of all, obviously, to develop your knowledge. Again, there's going to be some of the stuff that we'll cover within the modules might be completely new to you, and that's great. Going to make connections as well. So that's both personal and professional. Anyone that has had any contact with CAFRE or the department before, be well aware of the connections that sort of we have across industry, and they can be quite valuable in terms of if you are seeking new opportunities or even just collaborating maybe on something like your research project as well. Personal development is also a big one. Again, there's a lot of the material that we cover within the course that is, yes, both knowledge based, but it's also for your personal development as well. And we're seeing more and more a greater push for employees across the industries to have these sort of soft skills, the communication skills, critical thinking. And that's something we really pride ourselves in terms of the master's program, is that it does develop your personal skills as well as that sort of knowledge base as well. Again, it might sort of prompt you to maybe look at switching your career focus. So again, we've seen this before in terms of some of the research projects that students decide to undertake. It can sort of lead them into a new avenue in terms of if they do want to sort of move their career into a different direction. That sort of links quite nicely into career progression, but also the final one I think is really important as well, because again, we see people from all walks of life come to do the master's program at all stages of their lives and all stages of their career journeys. There's that sense of accomplishment as well. So it's quite nice if you do sort of feel like you have the capacity to do something else alongside maybe your full-time job, or maybe you are coming directly on from your undergraduate degree or from some other form of education, to sort of take on another challenge essentially. So very quickly then going through the actual sort of structure of the program. So it's important to say that it is a taught master's program. So again, there are master's programs out there that are by purely research. So it's important to highlight that this is a taught master's program. There are 6 taught modules across the program, and we'll look at them individually in just a second. The other good thing about the project, or sorry, about the program then, is that it can be delivered full-time or part-time. So again, it depends what your own circumstances are, whether you're considering joining us on a full-time basis or on a part-time basis. And again, I'll highlight what that actually means just in the next slide. I'd already touched on then this idea that we're sort of developing skills as well as knowledge, and I think that's really important to sort of keep reiterating that there is so much to be gained from the program in terms of those soft skills and developing you as a person as well, and your ability to sort of lead within your organisation or within the industry. Other thing to highlight as well is offered in conjunction with Queen's University. So David will touch on a wee second later on in the presentation about the sort of dual role between Queen's University and CAFRE. So you're both a Queen's student and a CAFRE student, and also means at the completion of the programme as well, you get to enjoy 2 graduation ceremonies as well. Now sometimes they have been only maybe a day apart or maybe directly after each other, so it turns into a very big week of celebrating when it comes to that stage. Next slide then, please, David. Thank you. So as I was saying, a full-time basis then is essentially going to be you in Loughry Campus all day on a Monday and a Tuesday. So that's what we sort of class as our full-time programme. For anyone that maybe doesn't know where the CAFRE Loughry Campus is, it's on the map there, but it's just outside Cookstown, sort of on the Dungannon side. But it's full-time on a Monday and a Tuesday, and then there'd sort of be sometimes there'd be sort of extra sessions run on a Wednesday as well if we felt it was necessary. For any of you then considering joining us on a part-time basis, those sessions are run on a Thursday evening from 7 till 9. Again, we'll talk a little bit in a second about what that actually involves in terms of, what is the actual commitment to achieve the Masters on a full-time basis versus a part-time basis in terms of the modules and when they might be delivered. So I'll cover that in the next slide as well. Other key thing from the slide then is the idea that there's no exams. So this is a model that we find works really, really well, especially at the master's level. Exams can be really challenging for the majority of people. So it's really important for us to emphasize that it is all coursework based assessments. There's quite a number of presentations, written reports, and also within them, they're all very practical. So a lot of them are applied to industry, applied to certain organizations. So again, you're getting that real world experience as well with them. They're not sort of abstract assessments, and they're not been condensed down to, a 1-hour exam. So that's important to highlight as well. Structure then, so you can see here the table is sort of split whether you decide to join us on a full-time basis or a part-time basis. So if we just start on the left-hand side of the screen, then you'll see that the full-time program runs from September to August. So again, really important to highlight that it is a full 12-month program. So again, if you're thinking back to undergraduate level, a lot of those programs will run from September to May, June with the summer break. But with the master's program, it runs the whole way through the summertime as well for the final stage to complete the research project. And Dave will touch on that in just a second as well. So it's run from September to August time. As I said, the Monday and Tuesday is full time in class. And these are sort of the modules you'll cover. So you'll cover 3 modules per semester. And what that looks like then for if you're joining us on a part-time basis, it's sort of split up a little bit differently in terms of year 1, 2, and 3. So rather than covering all 3 modules at once or simultaneously, you'll sort of start on module 1, and then once it's fully complete, you'll move on to module 2 and then move on to module 3. So it's kind of done consecutively. Whereas if you join us on a full-time basis, those modules are all happening at the same time. So you'll have 3 different lectures between the Monday and the Tuesday covering each of those modules all at once, essentially, and that'll move you through September till August time. Again, important to highlight that while it is a taught masters, if you join us on a part-time basis, your first year and your second year, so year 1 and year 2, are spent with the requirement that you must attend class on a Thursday night from that 7 till 9 slot. Once you move into your third year and it's an independent research project, it's exactly that. It's an independent research project in terms of there are no formal classes run in your final year on the programme. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. You know, if you're sort of looking at the programme from a part-time perspective and thinking, well, 3 years is a big commitment to attend classes for 3 years consecutively, just be aware that it is only year 1 and year 2 that you have to attend class. In your third year, we run a number of support workshops. There is class for anyone that wants it. We're very good that way in terms of if the cohort or even if one individual feels that they need extra support with a certain part of the project, that's no problem. We can run a class for that, either online or in person. It's really up to the students once they get into year 3 to sort of tell us what they need. But other than that, it'll just be a case of you working closely with your supervisor to complete your research project. Next slide, David. So just to finish off on the stuff that I'm covering, just a quick look at the module material that we cover in semester 1, and then I'll pass over to David, who will pick up for your semester 2 material. So the first module will cover then, so that would be September time for all students starting. So it would be business and marketing and communications. So a lot of that stuff is around different forms of communication, so particularly communication models, and we touch on the marketing side of things as well, because again, that's a form of communication that we quite often see within the business space. Second of all, so leading and managing people. So again, starting to look more towards the leadership style and the sort of organizational dynamics within organizations. And module 3 then is around training and capability development. So that's one of the modules that I'm personally involved with. And it's a really, really interesting sort of maybe something quite different to what you've done before. And it really develops your personal skills in terms of communication and training others. And again, those are all skills that we see required in industry essentially. So I'll pass it over to David. I did see a message in the chat as well. So we'll probably leave that to the end. But David, if you want to pick up with semester 2 then.
Thanks very much, Holly. You are all very welcome to today's webinar. Semester 2 then under the full-time basis. So we're looking at January, sort of the May time again, and then year 2 for the part-time. You will complete a research and development module, which again is really there and it's designed to help you move into your research projects, your independent research project that Holly touched on there. And you'll look at different types of data collection, methodologies, looking at how to assess and compare literature, etc., and different social science models. That again is there to help prepare you for your final research project. Then leading an organizational change is a module that I'm involved with. It is all about how is change managed within business, project management, drivers of change, communication challenges within and during change within a business. And then our final module there is sustainability leadership, which is all about looking at corporate social responsibility, ethics, the environmental, social and economic impacts within business, and the change that gets delivered within that. So as you can see from what Holly and I have just talked about, there is a very wide range of topics covered throughout the 6 top modules on the course. Then what sets aside you from your postgrad certificate, postgrad diploma, and then into your master's is your research project, which is completed during the summer months for the full-time students, and then your year 3 for the part-time students. The research project and the master's as a whole is a wee bit different. It is known as a social science. Many of you may be aware of technical science. So there is a bit of a difference there in that the social science looks at human behavior. Why is a farmer making a decision that they are making for their farm? What are the attitudes of a consumer? What do the producers and processors think within the agri-food sector and supply chain? And that is what your research then gets to delve into and form conclusions and recommendations then for the industry and potentially for development policy then for that. There are just 3 wee examples there at the bottom of the screen. So how people interrelate. So again, the relationships between different supply chains, between maybe the farmer and consumer, etc., and their knowledge, attitudes, and their behavior around that. People's views on the production and marketing of food, farming, and environment, and then how knowledge is communicated and exchanged for a sustainable business environment. So again, it's very independent. You have sort of free rein to come up with a topic that maybe you feel passionate about, or maybe something that is very in trend with the particular sector that you want to be involved with and are interested in. So we currently are going through that with our full-time students, and they are definitely getting stuck into it and having a lot of fun whilst doing it, collecting their results currently. So what do our graduates say? Here on screen we have 3 of our recent graduates over the last 1 or 2 years. We have Maria McCrory, who now currently works for Invest NI, Zoe Weir, who is a carbon technologist within the Department of Agriculture, and then Daniel Sloan, who is also very kindly with us today, who is the Research and Development Manager for Silver Hill Duck. Now, I'm not going to read through everything that I've said about the course. Please do in your own time, because these PowerPoint slides you'll have access to them. I suppose just one important thing to point out on this slide is that 95% of all CAFRE graduates are either in employment or further education 6 months after graduating with us. Recent graduates here as well. Holly correctly identified that you are a Queen's and a CAFRE student, so therefore you have access to all the postgrad facilities at Queen's University Belfast under the Biological Sciences School. So again, you will have your Queen's graduation and then also be invited to CAFRE Greenmount for a graduation there. I suppose to point out that there are chances for multiple awards on the programme. So we have awards for postgrad diploma, postgrad certificate, highest overall top mark, and then highest research project mark as well. So here we have, over and to the right, we have Victoria, who's with us, with James Waugh receiving an award, and then in the bottom right we have Hannah Foster, who recently just received an award for overall top mark for the master's programme. So it's a great day out. We I've just experienced these graduations in the last couple of weeks there, and we've had lovely weather for them, so I hope that you all get that as well. Entry requirements and fees then for the course. We do require under Queen's University a 2-2 honours degree or above to be eligible to apply and to be accepted onto the course. But again, to highlight that that's from any degree discipline. So we've had people apply from law, music, equine, horticulture, agriculture, business, and it's just a very wide range to apply from there. I suppose also an important thing that you might be curious about is the tuition fees. Now, these are subject to annual review, but on a full-time basis, these are £2,955 for 1 year going into our 2026-2027 academic year. And then on a part-time basis, this is £985 per year, again, under subject to annual review. There are different payment structures and things for being able to pay for your fees. We have had in the past some of our part-time students that maybe the business that they're working for is going to fund them for their part-time study, and so do ask those questions in the place of work that you're at, if they would be able to do something like that for you. Information then how to apply then. So all the information around the course and maybe a wee bit more detail than what we've discussed today, just due to time constraints, can be found on our CAFRE website under the postgraduate courses. Again, just to highlight, which Victoria said at the start, that the application is made directly through the Queen's University Belfast website. It is under our old master's programme name, as you can see in the middle of the screen there, Business for Agri-Food and Rural Enterprise. Do not be afraid to click on that and apply. If you feel confused or just need a little bit more guidance, please reach out to Victoria or anybody in the team here, and we will be more than happy to direct you in the right place. And then we have Victoria's email and contact information on screen there. So please, if you have any questions at all, please get in touch. Thank you. I will hand back over to Victoria now.
Thank you very much, Holly and David, and I hope you've all found that helpful and it's answered some of your questions. And again, we will have time at the end to answer those questions too. Okay, so I'll now start by introducing you to Daniel, who is a graduate from our master's programme. Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Thanks again for joining us and agreeing to tell us about you and your experiences of the programme. So I suppose firstly, could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you found the experience studying a master's with us? What was it like?
Yeah, so good afternoon everyone, and thanks for asking me to be here today and speak about my experience of the CAFRE course as it was before. I'm Daniel Sloan, R&D manager here at Silver Hill Duck, based in Emmy Vale in County Monaghan. I suppose I joined the business here after I studied a bachelor's degree in agricultural technology at Queen's and Greenmount. After that, I came to Silver Hill, and I suppose the natural maybe progression, or we had a discussion like this, was through the CAFRE course, and I suppose I had employment at that time, so I thought I would take the part-time route. I joined it in 2022, and then I've graduated there last summer. So I suppose the part-time option was best for me because I was working full-time and I had other commitments. It just meant I wouldn't have been able to undertake the full-time option. It was a very enjoyable experience. There's various modules in it that you got to, I suppose, what Holly and David has already said, you get to speak with people from across various different career paths. And how they have maybe a different perspective on something to how you do, and how maybe you need to have a different perspective on something, and then you can bring that back into the workplace. It's something that I suppose I haven't regretted doing. I haven't regretted spending the time. I suppose the Thursday evenings is where the time is at, and then whenever you have your assignments or projects. But I think it was very worthwhile time, and I was glad that once I finished my degree that I went straight into the master's course, because I don't know if I had got a break in between that I would have got back into education. But overall it was a very good experience for me.
Thank you, Daniel. So just thinking maybe about the focus of the programme, which is very much around, as you know, leadership and change management and communication. What's your reflections on the content of the programme, and do you think it's benefited you?
Yeah, well, I would say that it's definitely benefited me in my role here. One of the biggest things I took from the programme was that leadership just wasn't about managing people. It was about more influence on others and being able to communicate effectively, and bringing people with you through a change. There was a module that we did, on change management, and it's really, if you have an idea of a change, how you implement that within a business, because there's a lot of different people within a business that has to agree with this change before it actually happens. In my current role here in Silver Hill, I work across the business, so I'm involved across the whole of the agriculture side of the business, right into the birds going into the processing plant, so that's the quality. So as well as external people, so my role would encompass nutritionists, vets, and other external stakeholders. So all of these people have different priorities and different perspectives. So it's very important that you're able to communicate well and effectively with these people to build stronger relationships. And the course definitely did help me there, as well as the confidence in presenting new ideas. So that would be a big part of my role, leading different projects, that you're able to present that to senior management and other people from other companies and other businesses.
Thank you. And then just thinking at the end of your program, you completed a research project. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how the process went?
Yeah, so my project explored whether anaerobic digestion would be a sustainable solution for poultry manure management. And it had a particular focus on Irish producers' knowledge, attitudes, and behaviours towards this technology. So this is quite relevant in the industry at the present in trying to, I suppose, deal with poultry manure and poultry litter, because I suppose there's a lot of poultry within Ireland, both north and south. So this project involved me gathering and analysing data from poultry producers right across Ireland, and it gave me a real insight into the practical challenges they have when considering new technologies. And also, if you have a successful innovation, that you need to have the buy-in of all the people that's going to feed into that innovation to start with. So balancing the dissertation along with full-time work was challenging, but it was workable, and it was rewarding, particularly that I had it focused on, I suppose, the industry that I'm working with, and it was very relevant to my role within Silver Hill here.
Perfect, thank you. And just, I suppose, finally, is there any advice you would give to people on today considering doing a master's, Daniel?
I suppose I would definitely encourage you to sign up for it. That would be the first thing. Studying over 3 years, it gave me the chance to work and study. There was no holdback there, so it is very doable. I found that my company was very supportive of me as the staff in CAFRE, and they were very happy for me to do something that was relevant to my business, which is very positive. So I just advise anybody to sign up for it, and if you had any questions, just to ask.
Right. Thank you very, very much, Daniel, for such positive, experiences of your time studying, here at CAFRE. And it's always valuable, for prospective students to hear firsthand from, people like yourselves who've done the programme. So we'll now move on to our Q&A session. So are there any questions for myself, David, Holly, or Daniel? I'll maybe just move into